2, 3, 4.
All right, Doc 103.9. More of the Auto Show continues. You can catch it every week at this time. Chip Lyness along with Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota, talking today about credit and buying cars.
Absolutely. So, listen, when we talk about credit, obviously that we all know how important it is. But the thing I want to give you a couple of tips that I think is important. The first tip I want to tell you is you got to know your credit. Now, when we talk about knowing your credit, that sounds basic, okay? But I'm going to tie in 3 points that'll make it all make sense. So the first step of the 3 points, though, is you got to know the credit. So how do you get to know your credit? LJ, do you see the commercials on TV about credit? Can you think of one?
I can't think of one, but I still know what credit means.
What does credit mean?
Credit means like it's just something you need to know. I don't necessarily know how to describe it.
Okay, it's credit is what you need when you're going to buy a car, right?
Yeah, if you don't know your credit, you're in trouble.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Here's where you got to go. You can go to theautoschool.com or you can go to freecreditreport.com. Again, free means free. You can get your own credit report, so you got to do that. There are 3 different bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, and most of the banks and dealers use Equifax, but there's also an internal scoring system that the manufacturers use as far as the lenders. But here's the point: you got to know your credit, and here's the reason. If you don't understand where your credit's at, Chip, then if the dealership tells you your credit's not so good, and you're not sure that it's not so good, then all you're going to do is comply, and you're going to guess that it's not that good.
You don't necessarily have to trust what they tell you. Find
That's exactly
out.
right, and that's what we want to do. And I'm not saying the dealership's going to tell you your credit's not so good when it really is, although I've seen that before, believe it or not.
It might be an honest mistake. There might be a mistake on your credit report that you don't know about.
Absolutely. So you want to be prepared and understand exactly. Now, the second tip, which will tie back into the first, is understanding what your score means. Now, ironically, we got LJ here, and LJ, what grade are you in, son? Third grade. So we got a scoring system, a report card, right? When you get your report card. So we're going to go over the report card real quick. I'm just going to go through just so you know. If your credit score is 800 and up, that's an A+ credit rating. That's good. Good stuff. If your credit, your beacon score is 700 to 799, that's an A. That's an A on the report card. 621 to 699, that's a B. So here's where it gets important. If your credit score is a 625, 630, that's not necessarily bad credit. So you got to know that going in. But once you start getting to the last 3 tiers, 551 to 620, now you're starting to get into average to below average credit. And once you get past 550, then you start to get in trouble real quick. So 401 to 550 is a definite. It's a mayday situation. And if you're under 400, it's an F. So here's the key: if you go and get your creditreport.com and you find out what your score is, now you know on the barometer of where you're at. So if a dealer says, "Hey, your credit's not so good," and you know your credit score is 673. Well, 673 is a B. So, you need to find out exactly, where that falls out on the scale. And what we're going to talk about next is actually tying that last point together, is finding out what interest rate, what the going rates are, so you know what your credit is, you know how to get your credit, and now you know before you go to the store about what rate you should get. So we're going to go over that when we come back from the break.
Quick question for you, Louie. When a dealer says 0% financing for 50 months, does that require an A on your credit report to get the 0%?
Good question. Typically, yes, beyond a shadow of a doubt. However, again, when we do this show, I do my best to be straight down the line. I'm not pro Toyota. I'm a Toyota dealer, but this is for consumers that want to buy any product. I preface that by saying this: Toyota has a program right now that I've never seen before, and you've heard it on the radio that I did it 2 months ago. 12 months payments, regardless of your past history. If you make 12 car payments in a row, don't miss any car payments. Doesn't matter what lender, you can qualify for Tier 4. Tier 4 will qualify you for the subvented rates, which is 0%. That's not the norm. That's when dealers, the manufacturers are getting really aggressive. So here you're taking somebody who's currently driving in their car. Right now you're in your car and you're paying, maybe you're paying $553 a month. You paid 19% interest and you had to get a 5-year-old car and you had to extend the term. If you've made 12 payments on that car, you can go from a 5-year-old car to a brand new Camry, 0% financing, and lower your payment.
Yeah, and what a way to repair your credit too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So again, we want to start off with our tips. Remember, we got to know your credit, right? We understand how you know your credit is you go to the freecreditreport.com. theautoschool.com will take you there. You're looking for your 3 bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. Then once you know your credit, you want to understand what that means. What's my report card? Do I have an A? Do I have a C? Do I have an F? I need to know that so when you get to the dealership, you know exactly what you're dealing with, not necessarily figuring out what they're going to tell you. Okay? And then the next piece we're going to talk about is finding out, once you know where you're at, now let's know what our rate should be before we even walk in the dealership so you don't get snowed.
All right, very good. LJ, what station are they listening to?
I'm listening to the Doc 103.9.
All right,
I
beautiful.
like it.
Beautiful.
I like it.
All right, coming back with more in just a few. Chip, Louie, and LJ. It's the Auto Show. Catch it every week at this time. More of your favorites straight ahead. Doc 103.9.